Hey everybody, Dr. Jeff here. Welcome to this week's lesson in Dillard History. I know that this is different, us coming to you and actually teaching the lesson via your Canvas portal, but during COVID, we kind of found out that there were ways to be more efficient and use technology to our advantage. So that's what we're attempting to do. Normally, this lesson would have been done by your instructor that from a PowerPoint that we've created, and with the help of like the some of our Dillard community members. But we have experts on Dillard history here. So if you're looking at this is the Dillard history section of the first year seminar, and it should be in module. I'm not sure what module it'll be in, but it'll be in the Dillard history module. I can't give you the number, but I can give you the name and reference. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to bring you all straight to the experts. So these are the experts that we have on Dillard history, and I wanted you all to meet them and kind of get some of the questions we're going to answer some of the questions that you all might have had about the university. And I think questions that just any incoming first year student may have that hopefully we'll get some answers. And if you have more questions, I'm sure that our guests will give you their email address and you can contact them and kind of feel free to ask some of these questions that have been plaguing you since stepping foot on campus. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to our guests today, the people that are the experts on Dillard history, and you'll see why very shortly. Mr. Malik Bartholomew and Mr. John Kennedy. Welcome, gentlemen.
How you doing, DU?
DU 24.
All right, y'all, tell them about yourself. What do you do? What's your role at the university and all that good stuff?
Hello, DU. My name is John Kennedy. I am the university archivist, and that means I am the steward and caretaker of our university's physical history, as well as provide research consultations to patrons that come and visit us here in archives.
Greetings, DU 24. My name is Malik Bartholomew. I am the Access Services Manager in the Dillard University Library, as well as historical consultant for the university.
Wonderful. And I think that you all have, like I said, we're going to kind of like delve into some of the questions that some of our first year students have had about campus life, the structures. One question I get all the time is like, why are the buildings white? And we'll touch on that later on. But I want you to tell the students you all have a special connection with Dillard. Not only do you currently are you currently employed by Dillard? So Dillard signing checks. But you were also signing checks over to Dillard at one point in time because both of you all are alumni.
Yes.
No, I'm sorry, not alumni. That's horrible English. Alumni is it alumni or alumni?
It's alumnus.
Alumnus.
Okay. Me and John together, we were because actually you're right. Me and John together were considered alumni. Mm-hmm. But apart, we were considered alumnus.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, good. All right, so for everybody that's going to graduate in 4 years, don't mess that up. Make sure that you get it right. Here's your first introduction into it. But I want you to tell them what your experience was like on campus when you graduated, the years that you were on campus, and what was your experience like compared from then until now to just kind of give them a general sense of like what the vibe was like on campus.
So I will go first because I'm like the elder. My name is Malik Bartholomew again. I graduated from Dillard University in 2004 with a BA in history. Dillard University was a robust and growing machine while I was at Dillard University. Most Dillard graduates connect their time at Dillard with their university president. And at the time, the university president was Dr. Michael Lomax, who is the current president of the United Negro College Fund. So you need some money, you may want to check out the website on the United Negro College Fund. And my former president, Dr. Michael Lomax. Dillard at our time at Dillard in those years in that area, Dillard actually peaked at enrollment. It was like over 2,000 students, I want to say, at Dillard on the campus. So it was just it was just huge. I mean, Cash Money was out, No Limit was out, the Bible of New Orleans was there. New Orleans was hot, and we had a great and wonderful experience both on the campus and off the campus. So, and what's great about Dillard, and you may not realize this, is that you're surrounded with the beauty of Black intellectual greatness. So that is coming off the campus of people who are visiting the campus, but also you're inspired by your fellow students who are intellectual giants, that you're walking with people who are going to do great things in their career and profession. So my time at Dillard was very, 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 it was a great, great, great time. And it also, it put me on road of my career field and my path field. So.
Yeah, yeah.
John, what about you?
Well, I entered Dillard University at 2004 under the interim presidency of Dr. Betty Parker Smith, and then went on to Dr. Marveline Hughes. I am also a graduate from Dillard University's history program, and actually one of my classes was my class was one of the last classes to graduate from that program before it dispersed. But no, my Dillard experience, it was fulfilling, and when I say fulfilling, I mean in a full circle way. To arrive at that fulfillment, it was a journey. I pretty much experienced every human emotion possible here at this university, but ultimately it led to a tremendous leap in growth in all aspects, intellectually, spiritually, physically. Dillard University also put me on the path to where I am now. I consider myself a true academic now, and Dillard University prepared me for all of the trials up until now as an academic. Also to experience many different things socially, and to experience Blackness. I was one of the rare individuals who come to college having a full Black experience, being from New Orleans. We grew up in Blackness in abundance here in New Orleans, but to get to this university to see Blackness in such a diverse way, it meant so much to me as a young man, and it also contributed to my growth. But even socially, you experience so many things, especially if you decide to join the Divine Nine organization. You learn more about Blackness and the diversity of Blackness. So, in short, my time at this university, it was fulfilling, and considering the growth I experienced.
I think that
And I was just one more thing, John. And also, what's great is your Dillard experience do not stop when you graduate. So
Right.
your experience continue to develop and grow.
Yes, sir.
I think that every time like I talk to an alumni about Dillard, they speak of their time at Dillard lovingly. Like after it's all over, I think that everybody kind of looks back and is like, man, this institution shaped me and molded who I was. And I think that that's powerful that y'all are speaking about the diversity of Blackness that you experienced on campus. And I think that's still going on to this day. Like I look at the students now, and it is indeed still a diversity of Blackness, and shaping these minds is a wonderful thing. All right, so we're talking about history of Dillard, and what does that look like? So when we talk about history, like we have to talk about like how Dillard started. So how did Dillard get here? We were founded in 1869. We just celebrated our 150th last year, so we were all over the news doing all these things to promote our 150, which a lot of things don't reach 150 years of existence. But Dillard has stayed true and has been here for 150 years and hopefully 150 more. Right. So how did we get this thing started?
Okay. I'm gonna go first, brother. You can go ahead. Okay. Well, Dillard is a collective effort of many different people, organizations. First and foremost, here in the city of New Orleans, There was an overwhelming population of African Americans, both free people of color, and the former enslaved, immediately after the Civil War. And within the city of New Orleans, you have all of these Black people. Then you enter two religious organizations that decided to say, okay, hey, these people, especially those who have recently been freed, they're in need of education. What can we provide? And these two religious entities are the American Missionary Association, now the United Church of Christ, and the other was the United Methodist Church. Malik, you want to add?
Dillard is blessed that we are the seeds of two great institutions founded here in the city of New Orleans, which is Straight College or Straight University and New Orleans University. Both of these universities did great work in educating individuals to become teachers, doctors, lawyers, pastors, just to serve their communities and build up what we now know of as the Black community. Ironically, a lot of people don't realize that the first African American doctor, a female doctor to get a degree, got her degree from Dillard University, and that is New Orleans University. And I know John knows this woman name very well. It's Ella Prescott.
No, it's Dr. Emma Wakefield. She was a native of New Iberia. She practiced down here for a short time before moving to the West Coast.
So Dillard is special because as an HBCU, and we know we have a lot of HBCUs, but there are some HBCUs that are called pioneering HBCUs. Mm-hmm. And these are the HBCUs that are considered the foundation of Black education in the South, because they're the first, they're the oldest, and they've been doing the work the longest. So Fisk, Howard, Dillard, because there's his work through New Orleans, the work from Morehouse and Spelman and Clark College and Atlanta University. These universities are they're the first Black universities, and without them, you have no Black teachers, you have no Black doctors, you have no Black pastors. These are the people that are going to go out and shape the Black communities after the Civil War.
And one thing to remember, especially with Mr. Bartholomew talking about our predecessor institutions, is we have to remember that these institutions are still a part of us today, because much of what made them special still makes them special.
So when we talk about the merger between New Orleans University and Straight College, there's still some landmarks from the two here in the city, right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, there's only one physical structure left.
Okay, where is that at? Tell me.
Oh, but there is a marker.
Yeah.
Both. There are markers for both, but only one has a structure still left.
So Straight in New Orleans moved around the city several times. There is Straight University was started on Claiborne and Esplanade on the corner. So they're just one of the last remaining buildings of Straight University was renovated 2 or 3 years ago. And there's a plaque in front of that house, which is right next to Manthew's Chicken, which is like a known chicken spot in New Orleans. And then in uptown New Orleans, where De La Salle High School sits, is the former location of New Orleans University.
Mm-hmm. All right, so
New Orleans University and / Gilbert Academy. Because we can't.
Okay. And to clarify, Gilbert Academy was Dillard's high school.
New Orleans University. Yeah.
Before New Orleans University, but then once the merger happened,
it becomes Dillard,
carried over to Dillard. So Dillard had its own high school at one time.
Oh, I didn't know that. All right.
Yeah, so a lot of times people don't realize that even though that their names is New Orleans University and Straight University, both of these schools have elementary schools and junior high schools. Because think about this, like the first public high school in New Orleans is McDonald 35, and it doesn't get founded until like the late 1920s. So Dillard served the need of not only college education, but also primary, elementary, secondary school, and college education.
Oh, so we really ain't new to this. We true to this.
No. Whenever there was a need for education amongst our people, like Dillard has always tried to fill that need. Always.
All right, that's actually really cool. So when we have the merger of the two entities, we've produced quite a few notable people um, from these respective institutions. I believe, and now I'm just gonna throw a name out here, and you go where you need to go with it. But PBS Pinchback.
Yes, that's correct. He was a product of Straight College's law program. He was actually within one of the first graduating classes, 1886, I believe. Yeah, he was. PBS Pinchback is the first African American governor in the United States. He was a product of Straight College.
Not of Louisiana, in the United States. All right, so there's been so a lot of people have been produced from Dillard University. Now I'm going to task some of my students now is to find some of those other people, other notable people. I gave you one, so I want you to go find a few other notable folks that have been produced by the university. Now, Malik, in this presentation, I've heard before we owned a hospital at one point in time, correct?
Yes. Dillard University, through New Orleans University, started a hospital, Flint Goodrich Hospital, which was open and was a function of New Orleans University. So both of the schools, when they were founded, were clear to start medical schools. However, it was New Orleans University that picks up the mantle of providing medical services, because at this time, Black people normally when you get sick, you handle it inside the home during these time period. Like your family take care of you and they try to heal you and make you better, but you need hospitals and doctors and nurses. So early on in history, Dillard started training nurses and doctors, which then resulted in us opening and running a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So John is like, he been reading and studying Flint Goodrich a lot. Like he been going through the reports and everything.
Okay.
Well, and Malik is always this is that we under the leadership of Dr. Albert W. Dent, who was also a superintendent of Flint Goodrich, and simultaneously for a short time was the president here at the university. He came up with what is considered one of the earliest attempts at universal healthcare, with a penny a day program, which is if you could pay a penny a day, you could come to Flint Goodrich Hospital and be treated. But also, Flint Goodrich was instrumental in tackling many different issues that was plaguing the African American community, specifically infant mortality, tuberculosis, and various other diseases. But it was Dr. Dent and his staff made it a point to identify these issues, and within each year they were trying to take steps to make sure that Dillard, aka Flint Goodrich, was doing its part in combating these issues.
Also, a lot of people don't realize that Flint Goodrich is actually the first functioning part of Dillard University. So when the merger between Straight College and New Orleans University went through, they decided to keep the hospital open because they knew how critical and crucial it was that the people of New Orleans, the Black citizens in New Orleans, actually have a hospital that they could go to.
Right.
So it's one of the few Black hospitals in the Deep South for Black people. And Dillard owned and operated until 1980.
3 or 5.
It's one of the is an 80.
Yeah. Because it's not hard to find somebody who was born at Flint Goodrich nowadays. It's not.
So for most of its history, Dillard had owned and operated its own hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there are people in New Orleans that were actually born in the Flint Goodrich Hospital.
Yes.
And there's a lot of Dillard graduates who were born in Flint Goodrich Hospital, and the person who signed their birth certificate, Albert W. Dent, also signed their college degree.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually amazing. Like that would probably be dope to find some of those people and actually talk to them, because that's a moment.
Well, but like Malik was saying, like it's not hard only because there was only so many Black hospitals at one time you could go get treated, and also, I mean, Dillard was only amongst a few, available, institutions of higher learning.
Okay, so we went from New Orleans University and Straight College to Dillard. So how did we get the name Dillard? Like, how was that settled upon
Well,
after the merger?
well, there was a gentleman. His name was James Hardy Dillard. He sat on the board for both Straight College as well as New Orleans University. And at the time, when the merger's charter was official in June of 1930, they began to probe and say, okay, well, how what's going to be the namesake of this new entity? And it was a collective of both boards that, okay, we're naming it after Dr. Dillard, considering his philanthropy and his commitment to education as far as African Americans.
Yes, and that agreement was done by both Black and white citizens. They both agreed that James Hardy Dillard was a name that they wanted to honor and lift up.
And he has his house is still remaining. It's right near the Audubon Zoo.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
But don't try to roll up.
don't. It's privately owned.
It's a private neighborhood next to Tulane.
Yes.
Oh, it's in that gated community?
Yeah, where the president of Tulane stays, in there. It's in that neighborhood.
Oh, yeah, nah, because Drew Brees stay over there, too. You can't just roll up. Nah. You gonna go? Don't go scavenger hunt that place. Yeah. All right, go scavenger hunt the sightings of Flint Goodrich and New Orleans University.
Fill up the structure of the building, and it sits in front of what used to be the Magnolia Project.
Oh, okay. Oh, really?
Yes, on Louisiana Avenue.
And in the position of that hospital was not by chance. That was a Black community, and it was supposed to be a statement for, okay, this is a brand new hospital in this community.
So Dillard, I mean, there's a lot of intentionality.
Yes,
that goes with like what the university does and has done in the past. There's a lot of intentionality.
Yes.
What are some of those other things that were intentional from the start when we talk about Dillard in its first few days or first few years of existence after it's changed its name to Dillard? When we were talking about, I remember talking to you one time, Malik, and you said that the hiring of faculty was intentional, and who we wanted to like lead the school and institution and the majors that we selected were all intentional based on like the community and overall experience of Black people at the time.
So Dillard, intentionality is the right word.
It is.
Because,
it is.
When Straight in New Orleans are founded, they're just trying to serve the need. But with Dillard comes the opportunity of really thinking out, how do you serve the need? So Dillard is very well thought of. And as they're developing Dillard, when they're trying to get by the land, and also when they do the merger, the Great Depression hits. Mm-hmm. So they have an option to continue as is, but they say no. This concept of this great Black university is more important than even a Great Depression. So they actually are fundraising for the New Orleans community to get money to build this university. Mm-hmm. So one of the things was they wanted faculty to be young and engaging to the students. Mm-hmm. Then they also said that they wanted students who were scholars. Like they wanted to make sure that students were coming with a mindset to really be leaders. So they selected a particular type of student. They just didn't want anybody. They also wanted a small Christian student body. Mm-hmm. So like, and that's a great way. I never thought about it. But
yeah, that's actually a very perfect word choice. But you see that when our university first opens, it wastes no time getting to work. Like everything, as soon as these doors open, everything is booming. You have everything as far as choirs, classes. Everything is as if this university was open within. Everything is booming as if this university had been open for decades. I mean, this particular entity of within the legacy. But you see and then students, they enter the university with a fire, and you see this in their writings. Like they're excited to be here. They're excited to embrace this new scholarship that they get to learn. They get to endure. But yeah, Dillard wastes no time getting to work. None at all.
What do you mean by writings. Hold on. What do you mean by writings? When
Oh
you talk
well,
about
when if you one thing I'm gonna make sure to show later is that when you see the students' writings like to the faculty to one another, like it's a lost art to say the least. Is that these students the commitment to penmanship is one that is very rare today, and only because of I guess as the decades go by, things change. Well, styles change, I should say. But the way these students were writing as 18-year-olds, early 20s, like this is as if they had their PhDs already. Like it's very intricate and it's very calculated.
Yeah, they didn't have internet. They didn't have internet, TV, cable, but they like Brian, you can show them the Coubion, which is the Dillard University student papers. Just reading the Coubion and how they express themselves. Also, not to make the faculty and staff mad, but student expression, student engagement, and also student protest was expected and necessary. Like they wanted to hear the student voice and how the university operated from the beginning. Like their students had a voice. Because think about it, this is a new university, so they want to make sure that the students had a voice and how the school was being operated and ran.
And and that was one thing that, especially from the time of Dr. William Stewart Nelson, especially during the time of Dr. Dent, it was understood that they were training world leaders, like students that could leave these walls and go to any atmosphere and shape that atmosphere. So while they were here, like our alma mater says, these are the halls where men are men and men are free, but specifically free in thought and free in expression. These halls and this land was made for us to grow in all aspects.
And it even brought down, you see that in different generations of students. I had an underclassman who loved gospel music, and he started a choir while on campus, and then somebody joined that choir, and this young man who started this choir and become the choir director at Dillard has done vocal work for not only the great gospel people all around the world, but he's in Beyonce videos from something that started at Dillard. Like he literally learned how to direct choral and music by he wasn't even a music major. He just was into choirs, and now he's working with Beyonce in every project that he does. So that's where the concept where men are free. So you're free to develop and become the person that you want to be in life.
Wow. So there's a lot of avenues that I think that Dillard was providing for people from its inception. When we talk about the intentionality of hiring young faculties and listening to student voice and grooming really like these scholars, whether they're faculty members or whether they're students, grooming the scholars to actually kind of take hold and represent in the community. John, I really like what you said, where you talk about a Dillard student leaving the gates or these walls and impacting whatever space that they're in. And I think that's the mindset when I think about the history of Dillard, that was the whole mindset in their preparation. And I think that we try to do that today in preparing some of these students to interact and encounter the world as we know it, because it's an ever-changing world, and we currently need these students to be, flexible and adaptive. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We'll go a little bit more in depth about that. But I want to get to like another question that I hear all the time, and that is, why are the buildings white? Why are all the buildings white?
Well, Dillard is the first HBCU to have a full architectural plan, and it's original architect laid out all of these buildings with this particular style. Malik, his name, I know we bounce back and forth between how to pronounce his first name, but Goldstein is his last name. But he within this architectural plan, all of these buildings look exactly how he designed, and even our newest buildings, being Student Union and PSB, they also adhere to this old style and to be incorporated with our older buildings. So our buildings, I'm sorry.
So also they when they did a lot of study. They visit a lot of different universities because they want to make sure that they got this right. And what they came up with when they went to the committee of both black and white people selected what they call the Georgian style, which is where you get the white pillars from, the Georgian style, which is not an old plantation or whatnot, but I think it was designed to symmetry and balance. And that they was looking for that. And also if you look at Dillard's official scale logo, it's a scale that provides balance. So they were looking for that same thing. Also, Dr. Albert W. Dick, when he was asked about how the campus looked, he said that the founders of Dillard, wanted to put the black students in a setting of beauty, of constant beauty, where they can be inspired by the beautiful and recreate the beautiful wherever they found themselves. So that is why the campus is uniform. That is why the buildings are white, because they believe in order, but they also believe that the order should have a ripple effect of creativity, beauty, and it should inspire you.
That intentionality you spoke of earlier, Dr. Jeff.
Right. Yeah. And nobody campus is better than our campus. We don't live on the campus.
Because look, you know what would happen is we would have like we'd have people, and I've heard this a few times since I've been to since I've started working at Dillard, and somebody will be like, "Oh yeah, well it's the white building over there," and then a student will just look at them and be like, "Well, all the buildings are white. Like, why would they do that?" And I and when you explain it like that, though, when the founders, again, I think the ongoing word for this is going to be intentionality.
Yes, sir.
But the founders wanted to place the students in a place that was pristine,
right,
and beautiful, because they knew that would breed inspiration.
Yes.
And also, you got to think about, I think, the time period.
Yes.
It's the 1930s, like it's the
30s.
Black folks being lynched, and you have issues with Hitler and stuff like that. Like, they knew that the world was very ugly to Black people, especially young Black scholars. A lot of times when you think about these early schools like Fisk, Howard, their students went out, and literally a lot of Black educators were murdered for trying to set up a school in a small country town, Arkansas, like, because they was the only teacher. So they would be ran out or killed. And so literally they knew that the world was very ugly to these Black scholars and students.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So coming to campus inside these gates provides some pristine, some beauty, and in a space where you can create and be safe. And that's and that was the intentionality. And the
intentionality that Kearney was always designed to be an outdoor stage as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a patio. It's a stage. It's a staging ground. That access was always designed to be like a showpiece.
From our very first commencement, it's been always there. Commencement has always been in front of Kearney.
Yeah, so it's a like, and low key, it's kind of a stage now, because you'll see Music Mondays happening out there, and then commencement is still in front of Kearney, on the Oaks. But now of course we've gotten bigger, and we've integrated more technology into this. So now we have a big stage and a platform and a big TV, on the other side, and things like that. All right. So also something that I also hear is the grass. Why can't you walk on the grass? What's up with that?
Yeah, but
or the avenue of the Oaks, not just the grass in general, but
I'm gonna give you the formal answer, and I'm gonna give the informal answer.
Well, the formal answer is, for one, we've always been taught to respect the grounds. Like as a Dillard student, like, considering the amount of work and effort and intentionality that goes into taking care of Dillard, you want to take care of your grass. Also, every HBCU has a superstitious area to where they can go and they can't go, like, or otherwise this will happen. So we're not unique in that aspect. But Brother Bartholomew, you
also taking care of the grass is a campus-wide collective of making sure that the university is as pristine as possible for your graduation. Also, the best also explanation I got is from the alumnus is we don't walk across the grass because at Dillard we don't take shortcuts. We follow the route that leads us to the right destination. So I never thought about it. So Dillard alum told me, it was like, that's why we don't walk on the grass, because we don't take shortcuts at Dillard University.
And then in the 50s, we had a descendant of Christ coming. He walked these grounds.
And he did bless the grass. He did. So we got a cousin of Jesus Christ, actually the emperor of Ethiopia. He did bless the campus. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So speaking of our visitors, so tell them specifically who that person was, and then tell them about maybe one or two more notable people that we've had come bless the campus in a sense.
Well, me and John can roll on all the time. Actually, we can say who they are and what they did quickly and keep going. The person we just talked about, if you know the religion of Rastafari religion, the emperor is actually a descendant of Sheba and Solomon, and he's actually a blood cousin of Jesus Christ. So really, we have a person who had the same blood of David walk this campus, and he is highly lifted up as one of the last major. Ethiopia was never conquered by the Europeans, so it's Ethiopia is a blessed nation as it pertains to the African nations on their own continent.
We had Kwame Ture. We had a brother that was very heavily ingrained in the civil rights movement, Dr. Ralph Abernathy, who sat toe-to-toe with Dr. King.
Langston Hughes, who is a poet. Paul Robeson, Mary McDowell Bethune.
Angela Davis. The
boxer.
Oh, well, Joe Lewis, Joe Lewis, aka the Brown Bomber, came to Dillard University homecoming football game in 1939. Yes.
Okay. Wait. So you just said football.
Yes.
Now, we currently don't have a football team, but we did have a football team back then.
Yes, sir. Yeah. In 1965.
We gotta go back to 1935.
We've had. I'm sorry. In 1935, we've had, as soon as Dillard opened, it had a football team. And actually, the football team is the reason why we are the Blue Devils today. It's never expressed why they chose it. All we know is that Dillard University is the Blue Devils because of the university's football team. The SGA at the time, they tasked the football teams look, y'all pick y'all mascot. And they picked the Blue Devils. That's all we can prove right now. We don't know why, when, how. They just chose the Blue Devils. But fast forward 30 years later, under the leadership of when the university was under the leadership of Dr. Dent, they decided to get rid of football because of institutions that were the same size as Dillard were getting rid of theirs, which meant the university would have had to travel longer distances to play football games, and Dr. Dent saw it as an insurance issue. That's why we no longer have a football team. Our last season was the 1965 season.
And didn't that impact? Wasn't that the first Bayou Classic, Dillard versus Xavier?
Oh man, the Turkey Day Classic. Turkey Day Classic.
I would like to bring this up that before Southern and Grambling played the Bayou Classic in New Orleans on Thanksgiving Day, the Black community looked forward during the game of the two private schools. The only two Black schools were Xavier and Dillard, and they would play football. Generations of Black New Orleans, after they would eat their turkey, they would all come to Dillard and watch Dillard and Xavier play football. So it's like a precursor to Bayou Classic.
Mm-hmm. And I remember within my first few years of working in this capacity, I actually spoke to a gentleman from the community who used to attend those games. And to hear him say, Mr. Kennedy, my first experience as far as Black college football was Dillard and Xavier. Well, nowadays we know Southern and Grambling, J State, Alcorn, so on and so forth. But to hear somebody from this community express that was my Black college football experience, that's pretty powerful. He said kids used to sneak on the levees all the time and sneak and watch the games too.
Yeah, that's actually real cool, real cool. All right, so when we talk about tradition, we've discussed like a lot of like our traditions now that we have, but one tradition that the students, I guess, since since we're in the reality of COVID right now, the students are not necessarily getting the full experience as it would be for convocation, right?
Yes, yeah.
So convocation, and you all went through convocation too.
Yeah.
So convocation has been like a Dillard tradition um, throughout its almost like its inception. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
always been
versions of it, and it is not until Dr. Cook really formalized what he called university assembly.
yeah.
But
We've always had some
yeah.
form of fashion of a assembly chapel, if you will.
Yeah.
So it's been called different things, throughout the decades.
So within convocation, y'all are getting robbed of the experience of having to sing the alma mater, because every convocation we would make you dress up. You'd have to wear business attire to convocation. I'm sure that everybody's told you prior to. So you had to wear business attire to convocation, and we would make y'all stand up and we would sing the alma mater. We would hold hands, do all this stuff. It'd be a beautiful moment, but y'all aren't necessarily getting that right now.
Hold hands for the last dance of the alma mater.
Look, hold on. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna break it down. So this is what I want you to do. Like, I want to talk about the alma mater. So, like, why do we have an alma mater? What is the meaning behind it? Y'all are gonna have a test on the alma mater soon. So,
I'm gonna go with the Latin.
Now,
all right.
I'm gonna go with the Latin. Alma mater means fair mother or our dear mother. So it just literally means that you're calling your university, your institution, your mother, something that has nurtured you and inspired you. So that's where the word alma mater comes from.
One thing you'll find throughout this university's history is that the students actually select and create some of the most sacred traditions about our institution. Early throughout when Dillard first opened, the students were calling for an anthem, if you will. Like, they were like, okay, well, why don't we have this special song to represent us? And Dr. William Stewart Nelson, who was the university's first standing president, upon himself to write an alma mater, and he tasked who is considered the greatest musical mind in Dillard history, Dr. Frederick Hall, with putting this particular song to music. And Dr. William Stewart Nelson, he understood, like, he himself was an artisan. So the arts were big to him. So to hear the students call for a song or a representative anthem, if you will, he took it upon himself to write this and tasked Dr. Hall with putting it to music. So it's because of the Dillard University students and faculty that we have this alma mater.
Also, alma mater is something that throughout the eras, no matter if you are from the 40s, from the 50s to 60s, all Dillard graduates know the alma mater. They can identify the alma mater. Yes, the professors may change, the courses may change, but I can be in the airport. If I start singing Fred Dillard, another Dillard alum can pick up and start singing Fred Dillard with me. Like, it's something that unifies all Dillard graduates, because we all know this special song that identifies what it means to be a Dillard graduate and a Dillard student.
Yes.
So and then I think the words are really powerful.
Yeah,
as well. When you reference, John, when you talked about halls where men are men and free. Arise, O sons and daughters, hail thy queen.
Even when Dr. Frederick Hall, he's so wise. He said, and even through the dreaded night, like, he knows you're going to have trouble. Like, he knows everything's not going to be peach and king. Like, he knows that even in life, you're going to have a point in life where you're going to have a dreaded night. But he said, through it all, he said, forever guide. Like, it will forever guide you, it will forever aid you, will forever be there for you. Like, it will forever guide. So that part is just wise to me, because he puts in something that is not good necessarily. He's saying that you're gonna like, even at Dillard, you know, I know John probably can attest to this. While you're going to matriculate through Dillard, everything's not gonna be perfect, you know, whether it be your family or some financial aid, but you can still make it and you can still get through it. So
like in the middle, like my sophomore year, is when Katrina hit. I was a Katrina student, and having that as an 18-year-old young man, you like, there's so much uncertainty going throughout your head. Like, you don't know if and honestly, it hit right when I actually found my niche in Dillard. Like, I was like, okay, I got the groove of this. Okay, I can handle this. I can do this. And then Katrina hits, and it's like, you're like, man, where do I pick up? You know, like, and so to piggyback on what Mr. Bartholomew was saying, like, though the times may be stressful, you will experience strife within these walls, but it's okay. You can make it.
Yeah, and I really. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have
don't ask us to sing.
Look, again, this whole experiment process or whatever is about going to the professionals.
Okay, all right, good.
And what we're going to do is we're going to have some of our students who are actually in the choir. We're going to have them sing the alma mater so our students can hear it. And I want them to hear it right for the first time. And we'll make sure that we get them the lyrics as well, so they can see the lyrics and kind of like break them down and ingest what that means to them. We're rounding out and we're coming up on our time, and I want to talk about to finish this. I think that we've got a lot of good historical like Dillard content. I hope that the students actually have some sort of foundation to stand on like where they're attending and like where they've come from by being products of this institution. But I want to talk about like what makes a Dillard, like what is a Dillard student and how that happens. Now, I don't know, John, now you've given me this. I've asked for this several times, and I can't tell you who.
I believe I'm gonna take a shot in the dark. I believe that's the excerpt from one of Dr. Dent's presidential reports, specifically.
Yes.
I know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In the outline what a Dillard student should look like.
He does. He outlines what a Dillard student should look like, and I want to read like an excerpt from it. And I just kind of like, so this is because I'm not necessarily an alumni of Dillard, but I've been here for a while, and I've kind of done some research, and I think that these words are true as they were back then as they are to today. So I want to read some of these excerpts, and I want you to kind of like respond with your version of this. And so this is from Dr. Dent, former president of Dillard University. Dillard has never been interested in mere numbers of students. Our interest is in students with serious purpose who are capable of constructive thought. We desire to produce free and responsible men and women for a free and responsible society. The Dillard student is encouraged and afforded the opportunity to exercise clear thinking and judgment in the academic disciplines and also in the co-curricular activities, to the end that the creative process and effort of the individual mind may come to full fruition in the group process. Specifically, Dillard University proposes to assist its students in a litany of areas: the achievement of a body of knowledge, the achievement of the ability to think clearly, the achievement of the ability to comprehend readily and completely, the achievement of the ability to appreciate and interpret and create the beautiful, which we have touched on a few times, and the ability to maintain mutually satisfying and creative relationships with other individuals and social groups. So I think that these words are very powerful as when we're thinking about like, what is a Dillard student and what is our intent in educating these students. So I want you all to kind of like chime in on that. I know it's hard to go after Dr. Dent, but it's easy to go after me reading Dr. Dent. So I hope that makes it a little bit easier.
But what makes it just a tad bit easier, Dr. Jeff, is that one thing that is the consistent above all else throughout our university's history is that we've always been interested in training critical thinkers. No, we are not necessarily lawyers, not necessarily doctors, but people that can think clearly and critically about whatever issues, because like you said earlier, within this, the times will change, people will change, customs will change, but to be able to think critically throughout whatever time or whatever experience will help you shape your experience accordingly. So that's why, like, I know throughout our different generations of this institution, you see presidents, you see faculty. They're not concerned of how athletic you are, how good you can sing, all of these different things that, that are put on a pedestal, but more so they want to know what's your mind. We're training your mind to expand your mind, to put you in a position to where, okay, if said thing may happen, okay, how do I approach this? What can I do to shape this? How do I enter any setting, inform it accordingly? Then that has been one of the most consistent things throughout our university's history.
Malik, what do you think?
To add on to that, I think Dr. Dick puts it in a very beautiful light. However, I think just to break it down, what John was saying about critical thinking, we also wanted people who can communicate effectively, who knows the power of communication and what that looks like, who can communicate with different groups, even groups that are not necessarily agreeing with you. To communicate effectively, to find ways to build bridges and work together. And you see that all throughout Dillard's history. And also you see the empowering of knowing who you are. Who are you? Where do you come from? And honoring that, and when you honor who you are and where you come from, you honor who you are, and now you have a foundation to build a better life and a better community. So those things I think have been consistent of what a Dillard student is people who communicate, who are critical thinkers, and who have a groundedness of who they are and what they can become.
And open-mindedness. one thing that will be consistent throughout life is, especially during your experiences here in this university, is that you learn nothing in convenience. You learn absolutely nothing in convenience. And I think that also holds true throughout the generations, is that you come within these walls to forget familiarity so you can grow. And
And the last quality I would leave is the love of the arts, the love of theater, the love of visual arts, the love of music, of theater. Because even good cinema, good film is art. It's not just saying things for a buck. You're trying to tell a story. So, and when you tell a story, that connects to both communication and critical thinking.
Yes.
So the love of art comes from those things. So loving art and developing that art. Everyone in some fashion is an art.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is a perfect stopping point to where we are in this conversation. I think that we've given the class of 24 a lot of information.
Come to the library. You got to put the plug in.
So look, that's what I want to inform you all of. I really want, if you are interested or you have questions, Mr. Kennedy and Mr. Bartholomew are located in the library. It is a short walk from anywhere on campus to the library.
Yes.
I'm sure that they would be ready to meet with you with open arms to answer any questions that you may have about the history of Dillard. Or if you just want to talk about pretty much acclimating the campus. I think we talked, like y'all said y'all had some heat in that last statement when we talked about like what is a Dillard student. And I think that I love that you all are alumni or alumnus, my bad. Because you all really like capture the Dillard then and the Dillard now. And I think that the care for the university and all of the students that reside within the university, past and present, comes out in that. And I think that when you do graduate from this institution, you are indeed your brothers and sisters keeper.
Yes.
We know COVID is going on, but as Dillard students, please check your emails. Read your emails. You can't be a critical thinker if you don't read your email, because there's different opportunities, whether it be studying abroad, free money, events that's in your email. So please be aware of your surroundings and all the things that Dr. Jeff and Dillard University is offering you as a student.
Yes. All right. So with that being said, DU24, I appreciate you all for hanging out with us. And I know Mr. Kennedy and Mr. Bartholomew, I appreciate you all for hanging out with us as well. Like, I think this was great. I think that the students got so much information out of this, and I can't wait to do this again. So with that, we are signing off. Thank you all. Make sure you go check your Canvas for the alma mater quiz and posting your discussion boards. We'll see you later. Bye.
All right.